Hey everybody, this is Super Dave with Infotainment.com. We have here the Secure Code keyless keypad entry that we've installed on a 2021 F-150. This is compatible for 2021 through 2026. So if you're in that year range and are excited to add this to your vehicle that didn't come with it, which has been a staple for Ford vehicles for years, then you want to stick around and watch how we install it. Okay, so the first step at installing the keyless keypad entry upgrade, we're going to make sure we have the window rolled down, because the first procedure involves removing this panel, these bolts, and a series of bolts on the inside here, as well as an unplug of the harness. This will disconnect your mirror from the vehicle. So you want to have the window open to make sure you don't drop it. So we're going to go ahead and start by using our pry tool and kind of work our way around this panel. It's all just retention clips, so it comes right out. Next, we're just going to go ahead and unplug that harness. This is the first thing to do. There we go. And then from here, you're going to need a 10mm deep socket, because you see these threads are sticking out. I'm using an impact screwdriver. It's recommended for the mirror bolts because they are pretty tight. And the mirror is removed. So the next step is removing this little panel that's underneath your door handle. So we're just gonna get our pry tool in there, get a bit of the corner going, and there are little clips that hook down on the bottom, so you're gonna kind of pull it from the top. And then there we go. And there's gonna be two 7mm bolts there we're gonna remove. For the rest of the screws on the inner door assembly, the first one's going to be behind this red reflector. So I'm using a flathead. Some dash removal tools might not be thin enough to get between the cracks there. So you're going to go in from the top, because the bottom kind of has a hook that goes down. Get it wedged in there real good and just pop it forward. There we go. And like the rest of the screws on this inner door assembly, it's a 7mm. So we're just going to go ahead and get that taken out. And then the two screws that are going to be on the bottom here are also 7mm. However, they point at a 45-degree angle, so you want to have your screwdriver like this. Alrighty, we're going to move up to the top screw next. And this is the top screw that we're going to remove. Actually, this one is attached to a bracket on the back, so just hold on the bracket and then the screw comes out. The next step is to remove the whole inner assembly, which at this point all the screws are removed. It's just going to have retention clips holding it on. So we're going to start from the top right and just kind of give it a slight yank. And just kind of lift it off. And there's going to be a series of connectors that are on the back with wiring. So we're just going to disconnect those. So we're going to start here where the lock is. And we're just going to pinch these two things and it slides right through. Next is going to be the door handle. So it's just like a lever. Whoa, there we go. All right, which is like a little clip you pinch right there and it comes right off. Then we have the door switch connections. There we go, get that out. And here is the lock. There it is. There we go. Now the door panel is removed. So when installing this upgrade, you are going to have to roll down the window and roll it up, possibly a few times, just in case if you run into a snag when you're running the wiring. So instead of having to lug this entire panel back to the door just to connect the window switch, let's just remove the window switch from the door. So that way it's much easier to carry around. It's quite simple. It's just retention clips holding in the whole assembly. So we're just going to push in these two white retention clips. And then we're just kind of work our way across, just kind of push upwards. And then once you get about here, it's going to be a little stuck, so we're going to lift it up now. And we're just going to kind of work our way through the rest of the creases with our pry tool. And essentially you start from the front and work your way to the back. Just that last bit, and we got it out. No damaged clips. So now we have this removed. We're going to carry this with us to the vehicle just in case we ever have to roll up and down the window. All right, so the next step is this little screw. It's a Torx 20. We're just going to go ahead and just remove that. And this is going to be so we can loosen the weather stripping on the outside of the door, not this internal, on the outside. So now that we've got that screw out, we're going to work our way from the very front of the door all the way to the back and just get this whole weather stripping removed. All right, so this weather stripping is pretty tough to remove. There are some metal clips on the inside of here. There might be a couple plastic, but the main ones are metal. So take your time with it. This is probably one of the harder parts of this install. So you just want to get your dash removal tool in under the rubber, get it in there, and just kind of work your way across. So once you get it loosened on the front, you should be able to just pry it all the way across. And there's one more over here. There we go. So that jangling sound that just happened was actually this little clip right here. It's not really even connected to anything. It's just there inside the grommet. So for the next step, we're actually going to need to roll the window up. So we have the window switch assembly here that we pulled from the door not too long ago. We're just going to go ahead and connect it. And then you do have to turn the vehicle on a couple clicks. So once you have the vehicle probably in a second position or even in accessory, you should be fine to roll the window. And as an added bonus, if you were curious what it looks like on the inside of a door when you roll the window down and up, that's what it looks like. So these two bolts here are what holds the window track feed in place. But we're going to remove them because we do have to have a little bit of leeway to fit the harness from the keyless keypad entry in front of the windshield so it accesses this connector because the windshield's going to go down in front of it. With the two bolts removed, we have a little bit of wiggle room here, so that way we can kind of push the harness down in front of the windshield when we go to connect it to this connector. So next we're going to have to remove this weather stripping from the inside of the window, but in order to do so, we have to roll the window down. So bring back the window switch and we're going to reconnect it. And once again, the vehicle needs to be on or at least in ignition, so that way you can roll the window. Now this time, notice how earlier we said we removed the two bolts here. They kind of gave a little wiggle room, so just kind of be careful as you roll down the window. You don't want it to get caught or stuck or something, but it looks like we're all set here for the next step. So here we go with the weather stripping. We're going to start on this little corner here. Just kind of peel it, and it should just come out here. We're just going to kind of work it all the way around. Bring it outwards, and we're just going to kind of get this out. Now, with the weather stripping removed, the window has no guidance coming up and down. So at this point, you're not going to want to roll up the window or roll it down if you did roll it up until you put this weather stripping back in. So this is the point of no return. So we're going to go on to the next step in a couple seconds here. There are 4 T20 screws going up the side of this applique is what it's called. This is what will have the keyless key code entry buttons on it. This one does not, but we're going to remove it to replace it with the other. So we're going to do each screw. There's number 1, number 2, number 3, and then number 4 up at the top. Now we've got all 4 screws removed. So we're going to remove this applique. It actually just folds outwards that way. There's an adhesive strip, so you're going to kind of hear that little crack sound as you do it, a little sticky, and then it just slides off. There's the adhesive strip on both the inside and the outside. Now we're going to put the new one on that has the keypad keyless entry and then feed the harness down behind the window. So we temporarily removed the applique because we need to get this harness down in front of the window. So we also put a little of the weather stripping up so that way there is some track. The window is going to have to be rolled up and down a little bit as you feed it. So we're going to go ahead and start by feeding it in. So we're going to kind of go in front of the glass. Just try to just angle it and keep it in front of the glass. This little clip here, just try to keep it in front of the glass. That way it doesn't scratch it from the tip. You do have some wiggle room, so you can push the glass a little bit so we can feed it straight down. And we're just going to feed it down until it kind of stops. And then we'll just rest the applique for now. We're not going to fully seat it. And then we're going to go on to the other side and show how it connects in. All right, so this is the connector that we fed through. It's going to go in just like this orientation on the other side of this connector. This is already part of the vehicle. There should be nothing plugged into the back of it. You're going to kind of push it towards the back of it. It's for some reason the connection is not quite up in the front, so you just kind of feed it in until you hear a tiny click. But it is in place, so we're going to kind of pull this wiring down a little more to kind of get it out of the way of the windshield. Now that we have the harness further down, we just need to get the applique basically settled into place, so we're going to have to roll down the window a little bit, so that way we can get some clearance here. And if you ran the harness correctly, you should hit no resistance, so just feed it slowly until you're in. There we go. We got the applique into place, and the wiring harness is in front of the window, so now that it's set, we can roll the window back up little by little because we don't want to rush it. And now that the window is up, there's plenty of room to kind of work with the wiring. Now we already have it plugged in, so you can tuck it back behind the connector so it doesn't go anywhere. Just like that. Now that we have everything tucked in there, we're going to go ahead and test this by rolling down the window at full speed to make sure it doesn't get caught on anything. So I'm going to go ahead and hit the button for down. No resistance. Everything's in place. So now we get this all patched up, have the door assembly put back on, and we're good to go. Okay, so now we're going to put back in the T20 screws and the 4 screw holes across the applique. This is the screws that were used as a visual reference, just in case you're not sure which screws you removed before. So we're going to start each one individually. These are very easy to drop, and if they do, they end up inside of your window assembly, so you'll have to go down inside the door to find them. All right. We're going to re-seal the weather stripping, so you just kind of feed it into the grooves. This is now where you test with the window. Let's try rolling it up again. And if you make it smooth sailing, then you got it incorrect. So looks like the weather stripping's in place just fine. And we're going to proceed to the next step. All right, so we're going to take the outer weather stripping and then place it back how we had it before. Just click it all into place. And then all that's left on this weather stripping is a screw that we're going to put in right here that we took out earlier. All right, so it's going to be these Torx 20. This is the smallest screw that was taken out during the whole installation process. So we're just going to feed it through this hole and attach this little part of the weather strip that's a little loose. So go ahead and just get it in there. And then let's just feed the stripping. And it's in there good. So now we're going to take this weather stripping cover and just kind of feed it along the track that this adhesive was originally on. It's quite sticky, so you shouldn't need to reapply any. You just pretty much feed it all the way around the track, and it's going to be a little bigger and bulkier in some edges, but you just want to have it just in place. So just like that is plenty. And then next we're going to start putting the door panel back on. We no longer need the door switch assembly connected as we're done rolling up and down the window. So we're just going to remove it. We're going to reattach it to the assembly for the door and then get everything bolted up, and then we're finished with the install. So these are the screws for that window track assembly that we removed not too long ago. So we just need to get that reattached. There's T7s. So we have our switch assembly, just as easy to take out as it is to put back in. You just line it up to the clips and just snap it into place. Here comes the part where we have to reattach all the connections that came from the door originally. We're going to start with the longest one first. This is the door lock assembly here. We're just going to go ahead and just feed it up in this little white cylinder, and it's just going to clip right in and snap. So that part's in. Now we're going to attach the door lever assembly. This is pretty simple. You just kind of line it in and click it in just like that, and it's in. Very next, the famous door switch plug that we've been playing with for a lot of this upgrade. The clips on the back facing towards you if you're standing where I am. I'm just going to snap that in, and it clicks. And then this one here is for your actual door locks. Just going to clip that in. There we go, that's in. And then this connector went to the mirror, so we'll get to that in a little bit. And then the door assembly just kind of fits on. Make sure you have this mirror harness on the outside. Don't want to lose that. And then snap it in on the bottom corners. And the door's back together. Now we just have to put the screws in. All right, so next are the 3 screws that go along the bottom and side of the door assembly here. So these are those ones that have a little bit of an angle here. So that's the first one. Here's the second one. And then the final one's way up here. All right, we're almost done here, guys. Let's put the red reflector back on this one right here. So I just gotta angle it in and snap it. All right, so 2 screws go back in this cavity that we removed earlier. These are the longer ones with the quite pronounced washer on it. So we're just gonna go in on both sides here. And then we're gonna put this little cover plate back on. It just snaps right into place. But remember, there's the little hooks on the bottom, so you wanna go in from the bottom. And then we're also going to put the screw into this hole here. Remember that there's a bracket on the back, so we're going to want to hold on to that while we get it snug. So just go ahead and put it in, feed it through, and just kind of hold on to it. Now kind of spin this slowly because it's going to be spinning on the other end. So next comes putting the mirror back on. We're going to use these 2 nuts that are going to attach onto the 2 bolts that are coming from the mirror as we reattach it. If you need help for somebody to hold the mirror, that's not a bad idea. All right, so we're gonna put the mirror in and we're gonna fit the threads over. So just, all right, there we go. Now we're gonna fit this little plastic fitting over that. And then now we're going to attach the 2 nuts. Make sure that the harness kind of stays up because we need it to attach to the mirror here. It's pretty good. So that's clicked into place. Now we can finish putting it in just like that. And then the last nut. And then we're doing the last 2 bolts, also 10 millimeter, just like the 2 nuts. And then the last bit, just hooking this back into place and snapping it in. And now the install is complete. Now that the install is completed, the next is to run the OBD Genie programmer. First, we're gonna have to start the vehicle up, not necessarily the engine, but just the 2 clicks, so that way you're in the accessory mode. Right now, we're testing another product, so excuse the bezel shroud being out as it is. Now that our cluster is up, we're gonna go ahead and plug in the OBD Genie, which is located on the left side of the footwell. So right up here. The EVIC cluster will reboot, and that tells you that the programming is going through and the reset has happened, and then it'll go green light showing that it's completed. And now we can pull it out. So there's a few ways to obtain your Secure Code for the keypad. The first method is called the 2-key method. You would be using both of your key fobs with the vehicle, which we're going to demonstrate here. The other 2 methods would be 1, basically pull up the flooring on the passenger floor side by the front door and you'll access the body control module. Usually the body control module has a sticker on it stating the 5-digit code. If that sticker is not there, then you're going to have to do the 2-key method, or if you only have 1 key fob, you're unfortunately going to have to go to the dealer or a shop. The dealership will be able to give you the code basically by checking your BCM. A shop, if they have FDRS, they should be able to pull the code for you as well. So for the 2-key method, you're going to need both of your key fobs. You're going to take the first one and put it in your key cylinder and turn it 2 clicks until you're in the accessory position. Give it the 3 chimes. There's the 3rd. Now turn it off, take the key out, and place it in the cubby, preferably close to the pad if possible. And then stick in your 2nd key. Same method, 2 clicks. That is the code for your Secure Code keypad. So our code in the cluster was 55975. If you ever wanted to change your code to make it something easier for you to remember, you can just go to your settings, go to vehicle, and then find the door keypad code. So we're going to do 55975, enter, and this is where you can change it. You can erase the code or you can change it to a new code. You just enter the new one and then confirm it one more time.
Guys, I hope you enjoyed that upgrade just as much as we enjoyed developing it. We were here established in 2008, and we've been helping over 100,000 customers do upgrades to their vehicle. So we carry this upgrade and so much more on our website, Infotainment.com. We service what we sell. We have a whole staff that services parts all day long. We also have in-house advisors that can advise you and help you from start to finish. We also have a compatibility guarantee. As I mentioned in the video, we will get your 17-digit VIN number to ensure that everything is programmed to the modules for a seamless installation in your exact vehicle. We also have extended warranties for those of you who would like to take advantage of that. Those of you who pulled out your old gear and you don't want it just to sit in your garage forever, we actually offer trade-in value to your old gear. So be sure to go to our website for more information on that. Last but not least, if you have a request for your vehicle, you want a factory OEM upgrade for your vehicle and you don't see it on our website, we have a product request form that our research and development department looks at every single day. So request that product and we'll get back with you with a possible solution. Thank you so much, guys, for watching, and have a great day.